In a single afternoon, on the dusty plains of Gaugamela, a 25-year-old Macedonian king shattered the might of the largest empire the ancient world had ever seen. It was October the 1st, 331 BCE, an ordinary day transformed into legend, where the fate of empires would be decided by the clash of sword and shield, the fury of charging cavalry, and the genius of a commander whose name would echo through eternity. Alexander, son of Philip, stood at the head of 47,000 warriors, staring down a Persian army that dwarfed his own, 250,000 strong, commanded by Darius III, the so-called King of Kings. The Persians had gathered war elephants, scythed chariots, and the full weight of their imperial might. Yet as dawn broke over the battlefield, it was not numbers that would determine the outcome, but courage, cunning, and the will to conquer. The Macedonian phalanx, famed for its discipline and impenetrable wall of spears, braced itself for the coming storm. Alexander's companions, his elite cavalry, waited with bated breath, their armor gleaming in the early light. Across the field, the Persians stretched as far as the eye could see, their banners rippling in the wind, their war machines ready to mow down all who dared oppose them. It seemed impossible, a reckless gamble by a young king, outnumbered 5-1. But while enemies fled in terror, these warriors stood their ground. Alexander rode the lines, his gaze burning with promise and defiance. "Victory will be ours," he declared. "Follow me and change the course of history." The Persians struck first, unleashing their scythed chariots, terrifying machines of death, blades spinning to carve open the Macedonian ranks. But what happened next shocked even hardened veterans. Alexander's men parted like the sea, letting the chariots pass harmlessly through, then closed ranks behind them, cutting down the charioteers with savage precision. The war elephants thundered forward, but Macedonian archers showered them with arrows, sowing chaos in the Persian lines. Even as the ground shook beneath their feet, the Macedonians did not falter. Then came the moment that changed the world. Alexander unleashed his secret weapon, the oblique formation. Instead of meeting the Persians head-on, he angled his troops, drawing the enemy to one side, stretching their lines thin and exposing their center. With a roar, Alexander led his companion cavalry in a thunderous charge straight at the heart of Darius's position. The Persian king watched in horror as the Macedonian wedge cut through his guard, driving deep into the very soul of the empire. For a heartbeat, the fate of the ancient world hung in the balance. Darius, surrounded by chaos and slaughter, saw his elite immortals falter. Panic spread like wildfire through the Persian ranks. The king turned his chariot and fled, abandoning his army to the merciless Macedonian advance. Blood-soaked battlefields were all that remained as Persian resistance crumbled. In just a few hours, 220 years of Achaemenid power was shattered. The Macedonians swept forward, claiming Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, cities that had stood for centuries, now bowing to the son of Macedonia. This was more than a victory. It was the birth of legend. The brotherhood of soldiers who followed Alexander into the jaws of death became immortal. The tactics he unleashed at Gaugamela would be studied for millennia, his audacity inspiring warriors across the ages. The most feared fighting force of the ancient world had triumphed not by sheer strength, but by the brilliance and valor that forged empires. Yet the story did not end with the flight of Darius. As Alexander marched through the burning ruins of Persepolis, he gazed eastward, hungry for new worlds to conquer. The Persian Empire lay in ashes, but the legacy of this battle would haunt every ruler who dreamt of power. What awaited the conqueror next, glory, madness, or betrayal, was a mystery as dark and irresistible as the fate of empires themselves.